Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Thursday, December 1st, 2022, after 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a reverse aging health call tomorrow, Friday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to be talking about some new formulas for the body, so we can stay in these bodies long enough to use the CC. Many people seek to finding peace with their minds. There's just a lot of noise that goes on in our minds. When you realize that we're putting out, not necessarily, we don't really know we are, but we put out about 60,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Carl Jung. The mind, our minds are always busy. They're continuously analyzing, planning, yearning, hoping, and scheming for things to work out in their favor so that this life can be better than what it currently is. There is nothing wrong with this at all. Yet it can create a feeling of stress, anxiety, and disturbance if we become attached to its perpetual pattern. The mind is always creating something. And 90% of the thoughts that our minds are inventing today are the same types of thoughts and thinking it had yesterday, and so on, and so forth. It is a very reliable machine, to say the least, that tends to formulate the same general stable version of reality it had yesterday. When the mind begins looking into our past and future, it's doing this to figure out how it can get what it wants. Perhaps it wants something like success, love, peace, freedom, abundance, or a feeling of belonging to something bigger than it. Whatever the mind wants, it cannot stop trying to fulfill that desire. It is perpetually, eternally interested in seeking how it can become satisfied with its desires. The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. Carl Gustav Jung. The interesting thing about the mind is that it rarely realizes that the most glorious gift of all is already available the moment it calls off its great search for more. The moment the mind stops seeking and can remain completely silent, relax, open to the entire universe, this entire universe, that is right here, right now, at that moment, its list of desires is gone. It feels totally at ease and liberated. And freedom is that easy. It is that easy. If we want to have, if you have ever tried to hold the mind so it remains only in the now, you'll notice that it somehow mysteriously pulls you away towards something else before you can catch it. You ever notice that? Have any of you gone into the now and then found yourselves mysteriously pulled away towards something else? Not like you did it, not like you I'm going to do this. It just does it. And you find yourself somewhere else. And you find yourself there before you can catch it. The mind is very slick. And it likes to remain this way so that it can run the show and keep its machine running smoothly. Now, when you stop and listen to your mind, you will see. It likes to tell you what to do, where to go next, how to get there. It truly believes it's in charge of you. And this is far from the truth. If and when you want to find peace with your mind, you will definitely need to master it. Mastery comes from finding a peacefulness within yourself that is deeper than the mind. The mind doesn't understand peace. It finds it is quite boring. If and when you remain in peace, silence, and stillness for too long, the mind will make a fuss. You'll notice that the mind will start creating all sorts of disturbances to make you pay attention to it instead of the peacefulness inside. This is because there are still unresolved mental and emotional issues buried deep in the subconscious that are trying to be released and healed. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call that fate. Fate. Carl Jung. Excuse me. So I'd like to invite you to imagine right now what it would feel like to be the master of your mind. Just imagine what would a typical normal day in the life of you would be like when you are 100% free from the stress, chaos, and perpetual yearning habit of your mind. Take a few minutes here and see if you can use your mind to imagine what it would be like to be free from it. Now, when you really want to experience this absolute peace with your mind tonight, start with this one powerful mind-melting formula. Don't follow the mind. Simply watch it, observe it, and become so addicted to observing that you become an observaholic. You become so fascinated by being 100% aware of your thoughts that you are able to sit back and choose to be at peace with each thought that arises. Make the watcher in you the most important thing that you're going to be doing all day today. And I can guarantee you something very magical and transformative will happen. You will be able to observe any thought that arises inside your mind and not react to it. Because we all react to it. Imagine what that would be like if you had so much space inside you between every single one of your thoughts that you could sit back, relax, and feel like you had all the time in the world to explore each thought and respond to it in the way you truly wanted to. Look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Carl Jung. This This ability to create spaciousness between our thoughts is what it takes to find total harmony and peace with the 60,000 plus thoughts that are flying through our brains each day. So start practicing now. Start with relaxing deeply into your body, watching where the mind is going right now. Notice what it is, its basic agenda. What do you think your mind wants to achieve? What will it want once it discovers the secret to an eternal state of peace? The mind only knows wanting. And once you give up wanting, the mind is out of a job. The mind only knows wanting. And once you give up wanting, the mind is out of a job. It has nothing to do but live in peace. Very soon, we will all discover how to detach from the next series of thoughts coming our way. And we will learn how to observe that we are not the mind. And this very knowing is what will lead us into an outrageous state of freedom. Now, I keep talking about the mind as if it's a thing. Yet the big joke here is that we call the mind a thing, yet truly it's not a real thing at all. Just look inside and see. There is no mind. We have thoughts, and something thinking the thoughts, something observing the thoughts, yet where is the mind? When we look for the mind in this now moment, what do we find? We find nothing but awareness. This is the truth that destroys the mind habit and liberates us from it forever. When we look for the mind in this now moment, we find nothing but awareness. This is the truth that destroys the mind habit and liberates us from it forever. When we train our awareness to remain only in the now, we would live the rest of our lives feeling always safe, always secure, and happy. Okay. Could we train our awareness to remain only in the now? To live the rest of our lives feeling always safe, secure, and happy? Yet in reality, if and when we try to train awareness, our willpower will have to constantly be in control to direct it. We will feel like an elephant on a leash that has not been potty trained, and this will create all sorts of problems. The need to control anything in this life creates tension in the body, which soon will give rise to a feeling of hardness and rigidity, which leaves us feeling separate and disconnected. Now, if and when we want to control this wild beast, there is only one thing we can do. Pay more attention to the awareness than to the thoughts moving through your mind. Pay more attention to the awareness than to the thoughts moving through your mind. Bring awareness to the pure, scintillating consciousness that is radiating from your being. You can do this at any time, 15 minutes, and soon you'll see the relentless mind chatter will be calm and at peace. Only through relaxing into an unfocused space that is deepening in silence and stillness will our minds relax, find peace, and actually be of service to us. Dive into this consciousness, and a feeling of timelessness, deep peace, and powerful silence will move into you automatically. There is nothing we need to do. In this silence, the ego will bow down and become a disciple of you. The ego will listen to you and obey your every command. This is what it means to find true freedom and inner peace in this lifetime. We must choose to liberate our egos, which comes from this experience of mastering our minds. When the mind becomes our greatest devotee and is a true disciple of you, then you can experience the totally liberated divine spirit that you truly are. Bask in the peaceful essence of your very being within every moment of this life. Man can learn nothing except by going from the known to the unknown. Man can learn nothing except by going from the known to the unknown. Claude Bernard. Mastering our minds is all about being curious about one thing: the infinite moment of now. When we are fully here now, we are naturally aware when we are lost in thought, or when we are opening up to an experience. This means we are capable of noticing when we are thinking that we're having an experience of life, versus when we're actually immersed in this life and having an experience of you. Pay close attention here and really notice the difference. The simple ancient Jedi mind trick brings you one step closer to finding the source and conscious essence of your being. This mind trick will let you drink from the erotic juice of the sparkling infinite soul, who you truly are. You are here to know that who you are is beyond your mind, beyond your thoughts, and beyond your body. This consciousness is what absorbs the mind and releases it from its prison so that you are free from it. This consciousness is what absorbs the mind, releases it from its prison so that you are free from it. Take this moment right now to choose to be aware of your awareness, which is aware of your thoughts, ideas, actions, and forms. Being aware of each thought the mind is having, life becomes profoundly deep. intensely powerful, and extremely meaningful. Only from this space of pure, untainted awareness, your total being becomes incredibly alive. In this space, you will find a cosmic silence in which you will discover true freedom. The mind cannot find it. Only the silencing of it allows for the discovery of it. The mind cannot find it. Only the silencing of it allows for the discovery of it. Now, if you want to rid all chaos from your life, spend time in nature, in silence, for at least 48 minutes every day. Do this practice every single day for 21 days in a row. If you want to see the transformation occur, right? If you want to see the transformation occur, it is magical. You will see the ego fall away on its own accord, and bliss will come pouring into you all day long. In bliss, you will find an end to the endless mind chatter. You will live in the silence of the heart, feeling a great peaceful relationship with your mind and a sense of oneness with your breath. This connection between a quiet mind and an open heart and a rooted state of being flowing at one with your breath is the great sacred secret to being fully here now and discovering total freedom in this lifetime. You are here to find an experience of freedom. We all are. That is more amazing than anything we have ever imagined before. The day will come when silence has been made our home, and the mind will begin to relax as freedom is found behind our every breath. Follow the breath and not the mind. And an overflowing abundance of peace, love, and prosperity consciousness will be revealed. Freedom is the ultimate state of being. It is our most natural state, and it is available right now. There is no need to look anywhere in your life for it. Stop whatever you're doing for one day and look beneath your mind to the heart of your being. Get to know that ever-flowing current of peace, which is always free from fear. Only if you truly dive into your heart will you find it. It has always been there, always. This is the entrance to the divine being that we all are. Open yourself up fully to it, and the most joyful, sweet, loving freedom will pour itself over everything that you do. The soul comes to the incarnation to learn something. You learn best to involve yourself in the game, loving, watching yourself with humor and love. Ram Dass. We are in a major transition. A major transition. It's all together. It's all connected. The transition of this planet in full swing right now. The elimination of pure evil right now. The ascension process, which is up to each of us. To understand that we are masters. It's just that we forgot how in some areas. Not a big deal. Not a negative. We just forgot. So we rediscover things. We choose to. Or we don't. Either way, whether it be this lifetime or other lifetimes, we finally discover, rediscover who and what we are. All of this is a process. It isn't complicated. Anybody, you could say to anybody, focus on your breath. Listen to your breath. Don't try real hard to do this. Just listen to your breath. It doesn't necessarily mean that you hear your breath, with your ears. Listen to the breath. Follow the breath. Just as you normally breathe during the course of the day, follow your breath. When you do this, you step into the now. You're not, and once you're in the now, you're not thinking, okay? The ego mind is not operational. You have no worries, fears, stresses, or anxieties. In the now, you can't. You can't have them. And the more we practice in the now, which is literally the gate to the gods we are in these bodies, you open that gate, which is the now, you enter into the space where the God that you are is. I believe we all know that you can kind of get a understanding. You can identify facts like ego mind's coming. That's an ego mind thought. Okay, I don't care to engage it. Let's let it float by like a cloud in the sky. You'd be amazed what happens. An ego mind will continually try to interrupt you from being in the now. It'll take you out of the now. You go into the now and you find yourself wandering off into somewhere else. You don't do it intentionally. The mind does it. So see, when you become aware that that's what the mind does, then you know how to stay in the now. You just continually focus on the breath. Listen to the breath, no matter what the ego mind's trying to do, because it can't exist in the now. It doesn't. It's not there. So all the mind chatter that we have, we all have it. And 60,000 plus thoughts per day running through our minds. I mean, that's a lot of thoughts. And that's what we call mind chatter. And we all have that. And while the ego mind is never satisfied and is very insecure and always wants more, because it thinks that the next thing that we have will satisfy it, and then that doesn't, and then it's got to be more and more and more and more. Well, when we identify an awareness and we say, okay, that's an ego mind thought, okay, I'm slipping into the ego mind. You just focus on listening to your breath. And you will not be in the ego mind. The longer you focus on your breath, the longer you sit in nature, and people say, well, it's cold this time of year, bundle up. But it's amazing because nature is literal peace. And the rat race, as the majority of us, not taking any time to enjoy that peace. Doesn't mean that you have to be doing something or accomplishing something or going somewhere or doing something. That's the ego mind. It means that you sit somewhere and you just be, and you just look around you. You close your eyes, you focus on your breath, and amazing things happen. You're not expecting anything, right? You have no attachments to anything. You're just being. What do you think would occur if more and more of us would do that? Not because we felt like we had to. It's because it felt so good we wanted to. Okay, it's a big difference. Well, I better go out in nature and sit for a while. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'll do it. I don't have time to sit in nature. I've got too many other things going on. That's stupid. It's a waste of time. This is the ego mind talking. Too cold out there. No, I'm not going to freeze my hiney off. I mean, it's really funny what the ego mind comes up with to keep us from being at peace. Oh, I've got to do things. I got to get things done. I can't sit for over a half an hour and do nothing, which is not true because you are doing something. You're listening to your breath. You realize how many of us, when we choose to start doing that on a regular basis, everything will shift. Everything will change for us. You know, so many people with anger, frustration, anxiety. Figure this out. All of us feel all of us. All of us feel all of us. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that all of us know that we feel all of us, but we do. Now, doesn't it make a lot of sense that when we do choose to move into the now through our breath, listening to our breath, to be in silence, to be aware of the ego mind, that brings peace. It ends suffering, irritation, stress, anxiety, fear, worry. Now, what happens when that is a consistent practice? It means that others begin to do it, and then they move out of fear, frustration, anxiety, suffering, worry, and into peace, so on and so forth. So as every one of us begin to understand this process, to finding peace with our minds, and the suffering ends, and the anxiety ends, and the worry ends, and the fear ends. What does that do for all of us? It moves us more at ease, more into peace. When you finally discover just sitting in nature and focusing on the breath, listening to the breath, it's mind-blowing. It's spectacular. And having the awareness of the ego mind. So when the ego mind comes in to pull you out of the now, you're aware of this. And you say, ego mind, you're not in charge here. And it isn't, Jay. It isn't in charge there. It can't be there. This truly is us being in these bodies. It is a mastership program It is for us to learn how to master something that doesn't really exist. Isn't that ironic? So what does that mean? It means that we create these things so that we can experience them. And through experiencing them, what do? We learn and we gain knowledge. You can't gain knowledge from a book. You really can't. You must experience things before the knowledge comes. It's like someone will say, have you ever done this before? No. Well, then how do you know you're going to be able to do it? Okay? Or, have you ever done this before? Yes, I have. More than once. And I've been able to perfect it. So I'd be glad to help you with it. Okay? But it's a choice that only you can make. No one's going to make it for you. Really, truly. Not this. No one's going to force you. No one's going to try and poke you and prod you into it. It'll be up to you to decide. Once you go in, you will not care to go out. You won't. You'll begin to discover things about yourself, that body you're in. Some things you'll be familiar with. It's be like rediscovery, things that you kind of, you're kind of going, this seems familiar to me. And then you discover, right? Or rediscover. And you keep moving deeper and deeper within. It's quite interesting that we've all been trained through thousands of years to believe the opposite of who and what we are. Isn't that interesting? We've been trained to believe the opposite of who and what we are. We've been directed to stay away from the gods that we are in these bodies. We literally have been directed and trained, generation after generation, tens of thousands of years, to what? Stay away from the God that you are within the body. Spend your whole life seeking and trying to satisfy your ego mind, which is an illusion. But as we choose to increase our vibrational frequency, and as we choose to ascend by doing this, we become clearer and aware that we are not the ego mind. And through our awareness, by going within, focusing on our breath, listening to our breath, by going within and staying within and going deeper and deeper and deeper, we discover these things and we apply them. At first, the ego mind will pull you out of the now, just repeatedly. As soon as you go in the now, you be pulled out now. You go in now, be pulled out now. It's constant. But then you get to the point where you start to understand through your awareness that when the ego mind tries to do that, you go deeper within. And the ego mind is done at that point. Isn't it interesting that we enter these bodies, and the biggest challenge we have is the ego mind? And yet that challenge, the ego mind, is actually an illusion. It really is. You can't say, here, I'm going to lay my ego mind on the table, take a look at it. Turn the pages, review it. Open the curtain. You can't do that. Because it doesn't exist. Now, to some people, this may sound a little strange or ridiculous or too complicated, and so they close it off, push it away. But it really isn't. Doesn't it make sense? We enter these bodies and we master the ego mind. We learn how to, put it that way. Once we do that, then the ego mind becomes an ally, and then eventually we don't need the ego mind. And because you're at peace within, it's like when you're doing something and you're challenged by something, right? And you get really, active with it. And you say, I'm going to get this done. I got to get it done. I got to get it done no matter what. Almost to the thing of being irritated or angry. That's the ego mind. But when you're in the heart mind, when you are in the now, and you're only focused on the moment and the breath, the feeling will be totally different. You'll just say, okay, I'll get this done. And it'll be done. Big difference. Big difference. You take two people walking down the street, right? Or in a woods path. One is frustrated, irritated, and angry. They got to go take a walk, right? I'm going to go take a walk. But as they're walking, they're talking to themselves. They're thinking. The mind and the ego, right? Then there's another person. And as this disgruntled person is walking down the path, let's just say through the woods, then this other person is sitting on a bench in the woods. And they're just sitting there focused on the breath, the now, taking in all of nature, which they are part of. Not a care in the world, not a worry, not a stress or anything. You can see it on their faces. But the ego mind-controlled one, who's stomping down the path, talking to themselves, reviewing everything, you can look on their face and tell a big difference between the two. Which one would you prefer to be immersed in? Which one? I don't think it's a hard choice. Do you? And as each of us choose to begin to do this and stay with it, everything shifts. You will affect others. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Many. Just like the disgruntled one stomping down the path will affect many as well. You can see kind of those of us who are somewhat aware and who know that the peace, finding peace with our minds is in the now, listening to the breath. And so when we go into hecticness, or we step into, hustle bustle, and you got all these people, you've got them stressing, worrying, fearing. You've got them stressed about money. You've got them stressed about this and that. And they're creating more of the stress for themselves because they're literally steeped in the ego mind. And they don't realize that they're attracting more of the same, more of the same, more of the same, with the condition of the mind over them, not them over the mind. And so they build it and build it and build it, and it keeps coming and keeps coming and it keeps coming. It's just not pleasant to watch. And then you would say to them, why don't you focus on your breath? Get out of here. It's that crap. I don't want to hear about that stuff. It's just stupid. Okay, it's ego mind. It's the anger, the frustration, the suffering, living in the yesterday and tomorrow. And that's the ego mind. I think we all know what that's like. So we bring things onto ourselves. But when you're in the now, and you know you're in the now, you can feel it every time you move into the now. You focus on your breath. You listen to the breath. You sit in nature. You're just being with the other forms of energy that surround you, which is you. And this expands. It cannot not, it expands. It continues to expand. You remember that if you are in crowds, if you, the workplace, whatever, if you are in these crowds and the hustle bustle, and you're going to feel it's not yours, the worry, stress, and fear. Okay, you're going to feel it, but it isn't yours. And because you'll be in the now, at times the ego mind will try to pull you out of the now into the hustle bustle. And through your awareness, you'll say, I don't care to be in the hustle bustle. I know what the hustle bustle's about. I used to be in the hustle bustle. That's why I've decided to move within myself to discover the peace of mind that is within me rather than out there. And by maintaining that frequency, you affect everything around you continuously. It's like, how you doing, Doris? And Doris just says, I'm doing just absolutely wonderful. Well, what do you think about all this crap happening in the country? Now, what do you think about all this stuff on the planet and everything? I am perfectly at peace. You ought to try it sometime. See, because what we're doing as a civilization, some of us are aware of it, is that we're transcending. We're moving from one frequency, and through, whether unconsciously or consciously, we're moving into we've decided to move into a higher frequency. And by doing that, we go within, we focus on the breath, we stay in the now. We gain awareness of the mind, of the ego. We know that they're an illusion. We know that they've been created to what? Teach us, so that we can master over them. And the way to master over them is to go into the now and watch them and not judge them. Some people get carried away and they think they have to tell everybody that they're in the now. Right? You really don't. They'll pick up on it. Believe you me. This is when someone comes across someone and says, they're having a conversation, right? Might be at a coffee shop, whatever. You know what I've noticed about you? What? You don't seem to get unhealed or upset or stressed. All this stuff going on around, you just seem to be somewhere else. What's that about? Well, then you share with that person, I've chosen to only focus on the now. And what I mean by that is I listen to my breath. And I move into the now. By moving into the now, my ego mind is not there to influence me. And as you know, Bill, our ego minds influence all of us. So by me choosing to do this, I find peace of mind. That's pretty simple. It doesn't necessarily you're trying to sell anybody on it, because you're not. They've asked you, they're curious, you share with them. But look around you over the holidays. You're not judging, but you will pick up on some people that really, truly are in the now. And all the stuff going on around them is superfluous. And they've learned to know that it's all entertainment, whether it could be good, bad, or ugly. It's entertainment. And it's temporary. Just like these bodies, these suits we're wearing are temporary. And the only thing that isn't, that's eternal, is who and what we truly are, the gods that we are. I repeat that constantly because eventually you'll begin to understand that you literally are a God, a light force, energy that never dies, that's never extinguished, that is forever. I've even had some people ask me, what would happen if there was no life force energy? That doesn't exist. That's an ego mind thought. There's many more things ahead of us outside of these bodies that we will master. I'll join you in a meditation and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy, slow breath out through the mouth. Remain still. Through inner peace, outer power is generated. With inner freedom, boundless love is created. Meditate on pure consciousness. Feel the inner peace and the outer power, and you will discover your own divinity. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and the following morning. We will return here Friday, so December 2nd, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our Global Guided Meditation call, and 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our Reverse Aging Health call. Be good to yourselves.